Today's date is November 26th, 2019. It is 11:07 p.m. and this installment is taking place on a Tuesday night. Today's podcast is called How to Make Love Stay. And in essence, it's about loving someone and learning to accept them and loving them for who they are in your heart. But there's also, many facets to a topic like that. And it's not something you can just put down into words in a 45-minute talk with many tangents. I brought this neat drink. It's supposed to be butterbeer. So I was pretty excited about that. I'm the host, and you're the listener. Okay. So, I guess I'll start with the tangent about my day. I spent all morning with you, and then in the afternoon I hung out with you, and I said goodbye to you a few hours ago, and I talked to you just now, and I waited in the cold for 2 hours, and I dissected every conversation that I've ever had with you, trying to find something that I could say to make you consider your newfound complex emotions. And you brought a friend, our friend, and I hope that my song and this podcast and complex emotions find them one day. But anyway, you showed up and you grabbed your things and you left. That was it. So I guess the first thing I want to talk about is longing, and like what longing is and why it happens. And to me, longing can be a boon and a curse, I guess. And the upside is that you could be longing for someone who was just excellent to you in every single way, and you miss qualities that are a net positive as opposed to something that didn't make you feel good, and that being the downside. In a lot of ways, when you miss someone, you ignore all of the bad qualities that would have bothered you if you were still around them, regardless of who they are, a friend or a former love or something like that. And in a lot of cases, you have to find something within yourself that helps you basically accept that what's done is done. And personally, I'm trying to do that in a lot of ways with different parts of my life and different people with their own situations. Today's thumbnail is going to be Guernica, because I think it's beautiful, and it basically highlights the bombing of Guernica by Nazis in the 30s in a really abstract way, and I think it's beautiful. I love the colors and the shapes and how cleanly, I guess, chaos and anguish and destruction translates to a super beautiful abstract piece. I saw it in class, and I just think it's wonderful. But anyway, yeah. So, I don't know. For me, I think a lot of the reason why you long for someone is because of something that you did. And I know that you focus on that person and you focus on them so much that eventually you lose touch with everything that made you who you are, and you lose the I don't know, I guess clairvoyance that you had when you were around, but you were sure that you had it at that time and maybe you didn't. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I think you still have a lot of learning and growing to do, and I think that you are wonderful. I think that we're gonna be okay, and that's what I believe. I'm trying to think of who else to talk about. You're having trouble, and you're still having trouble, and I get it. Because I'm having a lot of trouble too. I think all of us are having a lot of trouble about this specific thing. This problem. How to make love stay. I took the namesake from Empire because I think it's super eloquent and short and everything that I would want to get across in just a couple words to summarize what I think. So you have a lot of improving to do still, because all of us do, and we're all in a really bad spot. And you can't let everything that you built up with them you can't keep everything that you built up with them and let yourself cling to ideas that you had while you were together. You can't do that. It's going to bring about a massive bout of depression. I don't know. That's the first, I don't know, this volume. There'll be a lot more I don't knows, because I say it a lot. I guess I should talk about why I'm doing this and how it relates to you and what I want for you. I'm doing this because I want to touch on a lot of things that I've never touched on, and I want to do it in a way that's always going to be there. I'm not going to share this with anyone. I'm going to release private links on the account, and you guys are more than, I'd be more than happy if you shared them with other people or, whatever. And I guess if enough people watch them, I'd probably make them public. I'm going to keep from name dropping anybody. I'll be host and you'll be listener, and there'll be other people in your life, and I'm just going to talk about that. So, yeah, we're probably going to touch on a lot of stuff that I don't normally feel comfortable talking about. I feel like a lot of the episodes, or whatever you want to call them, will be as sad as they will be fulfilling and positive. I'm hoping. Personally, I had previously built up a lot around you, and all of our friends. And it was incredibly difficult to, and it still is incredibly difficult to find a way for me to keep going. And in a lot of ways, I'm still not entirely sure what I'm going to do. And saying this right now, I'm still not sure what I'm entirely going to do. I don't know. I had some notes, and I was hoping that I could stretch them out to fill up an entire segment, and now I don't think that's going to be possible. I think I want to do a lot of talking, and I want there to be a lot of stuff long after I'm gone for you and for everybody else to look at. I want to get deep into the nitty-gritty of our lives, and I want to tell you what I think. I want to tell you what they think sometimes. So, you're a former love. And you have, in essence, fallen away from any semblance of normalcy in our life. And that's fine. It would be selfish of me to blame you for my negligence, because I'm primarily at fault for a lot of the problems that we've ever had, and I'm sorry. And I hope that one day all this will find our friend, and they'll listen to, and maybe get the confirmation that they won't want to look for themselves about me and about you. But probably not. More than likely not. I don't even expect you to ever hear me speak like this. And you're having issues. I'm talking about a new person. You aren't going to be able to make love stay. Not in the way that you want it to, not in the medium you want it to, in a lot of the ways, like how I have my love right now. I don't like it very much, and I wish it was different. I wish it was a different medium. I wish that the love coming in was the same that was coming out, if that makes sense. I don't know if you're going to understand that just from me saying this, but the love coming out for you, I feel like, is totally different in every way, in volume, and the kind of love, than the love coming in. And there's not that much right now, and that's bringing you a lot of stress, and I'm sorry. I'm in your shoes for all the same reasons that you are. And I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. And I'm not going to tell you that you're a liar or a cheat or that you're a despicable person. But the no contact thing is something that you just have to deal with and you have to accept. Because like I said earlier, it's going to rip you to shreds. For me, I still really struggle with not getting to talk to you and see you be near you and know what you're thinking about, and to tell you what I'm thinking about, and for you to listen. I don't know. That's just a side of me that does care a lot about you. It's not the side that neglected you. There's a side now that's always going to love you, regardless of what happens. And I want to take a break from that to tell you guys a little bit about how I think. For me, I know we all are a lot different from each other, and we find common ground on the things that, are similar. Anyway, for me, I'm thinking about a lot of things at once. Like a lot of things. Like I feel like there is a layer of thought on top of a layer of thought, and then another one on top of that, and they're all going on at once. And what I'm getting at is the product is going to reflect itself in this program if I decide to continue to do it, or whatever I think I'm going to do. I'm not sure yet. And you aren't who you probably think you are. I hope if I'm talking about you or I'm talking to you, you're just going to know. Because you are always different, and you could be anybody. And I want to accommodate you. I don't want to ignore you. I don't want to ignore how you feel, because you're really important to me. I don't think anyone who would hear this wouldn't be important to me. And there's a lot of things I wish I could do that I couldn't do, that I could never live with, but I would if I could. So, you're worried a lot about how to make love stay. And I'm worried too. There have been a lot of issues, and they don't just go away. A lot of things don't just go away in any amount of time. Even if we want them to, they have to be systematically targeted and broken down to their most simple components and destroyed. And we're not there yet, frankly. You're not there yet. I know you have a lot of insecurities, and I have a lot of insecurities. You're insecure about your relationship, and I'm pretty insecure about my relationship. But that kind of anxiety, that type of anxiety kind of manifests itself in everything that we've talked about so far. And it's so all over the place that I don't expect you to ever completely understand my angle, or to even accept it. I don't need you to support it. I just need you to hear what I think. And nothing's ever going to get better until we all grow as people. We still have a lot to learn about each other and our whole lives ahead of us. We're all incredibly young, especially in the landscape of loving someone and learning to be in love with someone and love every part of who they are, and not just making it, entirely hormonal and chemical and just what you know from the get-go, and more so expanding that into them as an entity instead of them as your boyfriend, your girlfriend, as me or you. You need to acknowledge that They have their entirely unique set of perspectives that are impossible to get across in your text messages, where you're frustrated and you're both yelling into a vacuum. It's not going to work out that way. I don't think it's going to work at all. We all have to take a step back as a collective and kind of, what do you call it? Reflect. And to accept some of these feelings and some of the opinions that we have as temporary. It's entirely political in a lot of ways, but it's emotional as well. I think that I still have a lot to learn. Nothing is going to erase my negative disposition about myself in any length of time in the near future. It's going to take an entire lifetime for me to come to terms with everything that I've done and who I am. And I've done a great deal of awful things, and I apologize for them. And you'll never know. I've been really into, you know the things that I'm into, what I like. I'm still into all those things. Nothing's changed. I've been telling myself a lot to make myself feel a little better that while I'm not anywhere near perfect, I have never let go of you, and I'm not going to let go of you, and I won't, and I'm never going to stop caring about you and loving you. I'm confident in that aspect. I feel like I have come to terms with everything, and maybe enough time has passed for me to actualize a little bit and, I don't know, live with my failures and to embrace yours. In a lot of ways, this isn't anything more than me vocalizing my insecurities about you and my insecurities about myself. I don't think there's any clear or distinct meaning to this talk, but I'm just having it because I feel like it's what I need for myself to identify the things that make me tick and the problems that I have with making love stay and transforming my negative feelings into more optimistic ones. I'm learning to accept that I've done a great deal wrong. Make no mistake that I never treated any of you the way that I should, and in a lot of ways I still don't treat you the way that I should, and there's nothing I can say to bring you any, closure that it's gonna get any better, because I don't know if it's gonna get any better. I'm just trying to focus on little things right now, and I'm hoping that one day they culminate and they all culminate into a better me. It's kind of the idea of being the host and saying how I feel. I'm sorry that it's so dilapidated and wore out in fragments, but that's the way that I can push things out. And maybe if it was a long entry of text, it would read more like a speech than it would a therapy session. But that's just that's the way it turned out. So I don't know if I should shit around and talk about the news, or play a game, maybe do a giveaway. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still completely and utterly lost with this, and I'm lost about love too. But I guess to me, how to make love stay is to accept that there's a distinction between being in love and loving somebody. In a lot of the ways I see it, you can be in love with somebody without ever loving them, because love, I feel like, is such a stronger force than the hormones and temporary feelings you get when you fall in love, and the awful feelings you get when you fall out of it. For me, I still feel in love. Definitely. I feel like there's so many things that I love about you that I could never even know where to begin. Honestly. I think you're the living embodiment of everything that I've ever wanted. And I would do anything to make sure that you're happy, and I'm trying to now. And it's not easy. We don't expect it to be easy, do we? Because why would it be? I think, other than understanding that, distinction, another good way to make love stay is to understand perspective a little bit better, and what separates me from you, and what separates how I feel from how you feel about certain things. And it's easy to start doing it a little more if you just take a topic or something that upset you about them, and you just, tear it down to what it would mean to them and what everything would mean to them. And I've been trying to do that with you. I've been trying really hard to understand what the fuck is going on. And I've been trying to understand why you would do the things that you're doing. And I think I'm finally starting to get it. And frankly, I don't like it. But I didn't expect to. It feels cruel a lot of the time. A lot of the time it feels better than anything that, I've ever felt in my entire life. And I know I haven't been around particularly a long time, and I certainly haven't been around you a very long time, but I definitely think I'm still in love with you. But I don't know if I understand entirely if I love you or not. But I want to say that I do, and if I don't, I want to work on it. So I know that was really scatterbrained, and I know that it's kind of all over the place. And if you were trying to keep a point to go back on, you're not going to find it, because I don't even know where it is. Like, I'm absolutely without a clue. Which is unfortunate, but that's the way it turned out to be. The butterbeer stuff is making me super burpy. So I'm sorry for that. I have a bit of cookies. Cookies you left me to eat. And you gave some to our friend. My father was asking me what I was going to do when I went into my room for an hour and asked to be uninterrupted. So for now, I'm going to tell him that I'm doing test runs of podcasts for my friend who also runs a podcast called Power of Four. It's kind of interesting. I think they're getting their whole sound side and production side together, but it's getting there. So I told him I was doing that. When he talked to me, I'd been outside for 2 hours waiting on you because you said you would be there at 9:30, and so I went out at 9:20, and it took a little longer than that for everything to come together. And after you and our friend walked away, I sat outside for a little while and thought about what I was going to talk about, and I didn't reach anything close to a conclusion of what I would talk about because I'm not sure. And I've talked about you already. Of course I have. Those are huge, huge shoes to fill, trying to get everything out that I think about you. And if I wanted to, I could make a 2-hour segment dedicated to that. But I won't. I do just wish everything was different. And I wonder if I love you. And I think I'm learning to accept that I do. And I'm learning to accept that the circumstances of our life are changing, and I shouldn't wait around for something to happen and keep your things and try to talk to you all the time. Because I just don't feel that way, and you don't feel that way. The way that would make any of that necessary. So, kudos to you for making me cut it out. And I know we never did anything wrong, but still. So I don't know what else to talk about. That's my feelings. Making love stay isn't always going to be a thing you should do. And I think that's a whole different conversation, but we can touch on it because I think it's important. Sometimes you have to let go of someone that you love. And love sometimes is so strong that it is near impossible to forget about somebody. And you don't have to. You know, sometimes it's going to stay, regardless of if you're trying to make it stay or you're trying to make it go, because there's so many variables to us being together, and for you to love them still. And if you're trying to make love go away, just stop trying. It's a completely and utterly pointless affection. You should love someone if you love them, and you should love them anyway, regardless of what's going on. And if they do something to betray that, and they have, I'm sure they've done plenty of things to lose that real estate, then by all means let it fall away from you the same way that you fell into it. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. But I wouldn't try to scare it away on its own, because you're just going to create extra grief. I've been creating grief like that for a very long time. Longer than I would ever like to admit or I'd ever want to touch on. And I'm not going to talk about any of this. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a complicated subject, you know, and you knew that coming in, and I knew that coming in. But I don't know. There's a lot I want to add to these in the future, and I have a lot of plans, but I need to motivate myself to actually want to do them. And that's incredibly hard sometimes, to want to put together a coherent thought And you can see how poorly I've done just in this first episode. I'm using a sock as a pop filter, and it's really weird, frankly. I wonder how your former loves feel, and I wonder how often you still think about them and how much you think about me, and if you think about me in ways that you shouldn't, and what you keep from me and why you do it. I don't know. We're all keeping things from each other, and it's not good, but I guess it's not necessarily bad. I'm a pretty firm believer in ignorance is bliss sometimes, because there's a lot of things I'd just rather go without knowing, especially right now in one of the most transformative periods in our lives. You especially, because you're learning who you are and you're learning what you like, and I can't sit here and tell you that you're wrong because I don't agree with it, or I don't like it, or I feel replaced, or I feel beat down by a new standard you have of what you like. I think that I would be a real asshole if I did that. So I guess I'm learning to love you by accepting that. I think that's super important. But I'm always going to support you, and I'm going to do whatever you want to do. And even you are always more than welcome to come hang out if you need someone to talk to. It's really not a burden for me, because we still have so much to work on that I'm not going to worry about what other people think. Or what you think. I'm just wondering how it's all going to turn out, and if I'm right about any of this stuff. I'm curious if we're going to be okay. I'm curious if I'm going to be okay, because there's nothing I can say to you, and there's nothing you can tell me that's going to make me positive, completely positive, past all the different streams of thought that somehow this is going to work out in a good way, like 100% of the time. Because I feel like all I can guarantee you is that it's not. But I wish that I could help you, and I'm trying to. I would do so much more than that, but I don't know how. I guess that's about it. Thank you for listening to all my weird mouth noises. If you have any suggestions about topics I should cover in the next miserable, shoddy excuse for a program, feel free to comment about what you think. The links are going to be they're not going to be private links, they're going to be unlisted, so you can use the link as much as you want, and the video is always going to be there. It's always going to be here, and I want it to stay here, because I think that some of the things that I feel now are going to be easy to listen back on for discrepancies. In a lot of ways, this is like a diary that is just my raw stream of thoughts about one thing. You know, it's one track. There's so many things I could talk about that I'm far too ashamed of to speak into the world, but it's there. So anyway, feel free to comment, and it can be about anything. I don't really care. I don't exactly plan on making this series all about depressing subjects like unrequited love and suicide and self-harm, but these are a lot of things that I think about, and a lot of things I need to talk about, or else I'm going to drive myself up a fucking wall, and then I probably am going to kill myself. So yeah. I don't mean to end it on such a odd note. Sorry if you can hear all the shit going on. There's always a lot of shit going on. But thank you if you listened for this entire 40-minute stretch. I tried to cut it off shorter. It could have gone on a little longer, but I decided that I didn't want to do that for this first one. And maybe when I'm feeling more eloquent, I can make it work a little better. But yeah.